FedEx full, we commanding the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, ain't no need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Commanders moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot in the mid, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Join the damn squad, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the word, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divided, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This episode, we've got the Terry McLaurin situation that we will continue to discuss and break down. Adam Peters spoke. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, who's following the story, has spoken. And I will give you where I'm now at, because I said before training camp, it'll get done before training camp. Here we are, not done. So we're going to go ahead and talk about it. K-Dot's going to react to that. Training camp has thankfully started. And it's great to see the football flying around. It's great to read the reports from training camp. I'll actually be at the Sunday practice. I'm very, very excited for that. And then the name came back up this week, and we'd be remiss not to talk about it. So President Donald Trump had some more to say. And so we're going to go ahead and break that down very briefly and comment mailbag as we always do. So before we begin the episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
The name ain't yours, you crusty bitch. Keep your tiny hands off of our shit. South Park knew that dick is microscopic. We moving forward. Now share that shit.
Share
no man.
This shit. We greatly appreciate that, and we greatly appreciate you guys. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the Terry McLaurin situation, because we haven't had a chance to chime in during the offseason. We do this once a week. So last week, I told you guys, hey, I think it will get done before training camp, but I'm beginning to wonder. I'm beginning to think that the team isn't getting to the area I feel they need to. We don't know what Terry wants. And Adam Peters finally got to get on the podium, give a presser alongside Dan Quinn, and he had this to say. We got some video for you, which K-Dot will play in just a moment.
So grab the bottle. There you go. You want to cue it up. All right.
What has been communicated to you about Terry, whether reporting or not reporting? What's been communicated to you about him?
Yeah, we haven't spoken about that, but just like with really all of our players, we're expecting everybody to be here today.
And then for both of you, he talked a lot last week about his situation, a lot of frustration. He talked about wanting to feel valued. I'm curious what you guys thought about that. And then, Adam, if you can talk about where things do stand with him as far as an extension.
Yeah, I mean, first, I think, without a doubt, I think everybody in this building values Terry very much. And we knew that coming in, and we knew that even more after spending a year with him. In terms of where we're at, we've had conversations recently, and we'll look to have some more conversations, and we're going to do everything we can in order to get a deal done.
So I heard that, immediately texted K-Dot, being like, did you see that? Because that was a lot of GM speak, and I'm very interested in body language when it comes to Adam Peters. And that was as discouraging as it gets. The way that I read that was, oh boy, these guys are not even close, was my feel off of that. We expect everyone to be here today. It never came up, whether he be at training camp or not. Some words. And then after that, a little bit of a, the contract thing. And a little bit of a stutter. We value Terry, buttering him up a little bit. We appreciate Terry, and we'll keep having conversations. Not good conversations, just conversations. And it was like, oh boy, not a great feeling there. And it didn't help when, and shout out Matthew Heiserman, who has a growing YouTube channel, had Jeremy Fowler from ESPN on, who's been all over this story. And Jeremy Fowler had this to say on the DMV Gauntlet podcast. Go ahead.
Like you're alluding to, the receiver market is above $30 million now, or at least around it. The low end would be what Brandon Ayuk did, which he was right at $30 million last year. Or T. Higgins, I guess, would be on the lower end for like really good receivers, maybe not guys in the top 5 or that Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson class, but somewhere outside of it. T. Higgins is at $28.5 million a year. So certainly Terry McLaurin sees himself above that, and probably sees him above some of these players that are getting this big money. So, he just My understanding is he just wants a deal commensurate with his skill set in the current market as it stands, where part of the frustration is Washington has not been able to get in that range or has not been comfortable with that. As far as I know, they're just looking at more of like a slight increase from where he's at. And this is where you get into difficult conversations about a player in his third contract. You know, the team can try to hold that against him a little bit, where he can say, hey, I'm still in my 20s and I'm at my very best. So
that was Jeremy Fowler, and that was DMV Football Gauntlet. Excuse me. Give Matthew a follow there on DMV Football Gauntlet. He's doing some awesome stuff right now. So I hear slight increase, and I go, well, that matches up with exactly how I felt listening to Adam Peters. What would that be? I'm thinking 25 million. Jeremy Fowler then goes on the Junkies the next day and says, we're looking at 25 million a year. That's that. Lake Lewis then speculates on Terry's side that he's probably looking for something between 32 and 34 million. I even don't think he's necessarily looking at the high end of 34, but I think he's looking for 32, 33. And when I put those numbers together, 25 and 33, K-Dot, that is a massive gap. That is not even close. I've spoken to you about this. I've spoken to others about this. That 30 million mark for Terry is incredibly important, the way I'm reading the situation. I'm not sure the team's going to get there. This now, for me, I am very, very worried. I can see this dragging all the way to September. I'm not convinced a deal gets done. And I do think that this is going to be a mistake, even if it drags on as long as it does and it gets done. I think this is a mistake to mess with the vibes. You get Laramie Tunsil in the building. You get Deebo in the building. You get Von Miller in the building. Everything is pointing towards, let's go ahead and outdo last year. Let's push some chips in here. And this looming is not good. Dan Quinn's handled it beautifully. And I think Adam did the best he could in the presser. But this is going to stick around. And so I am now worried, K-Dot. That's where I'm at. But I love your reaction, and congrats so far on calling this pretty spot on.
I just didn't. Every time that I heard anybody talking about the situation from a Commanders fan perspective, y'all just sounded like you were hoping, but it didn't make any sense. In this, look, did the Adam Peters conference make me feel any very much different about what it is that I think is going to happen? Probably not. And I'll give you the reason why. But from an emotionality standpoint, yeah, of course. You see every time that Dan Quinn made sure he was looking dead on to Adam every time the Terry got brought up. It did not happen the rest of the press conference. But during that, yeah, what you got to say about that? And it's true. I mean, you got to know it. I mean, you hear all the quotes from this week, Bobby Wagner or even JD and all. Everybody's on the same page because they want Terry in the building, but everybody also knows there's a business aspect of things, and this is that part of it. And the same thing I've said as far as you want to look back in the history. Even Adam was asked about the history when it came to the 49ers and their holdouts and what that situation looked like. And he well, I wasn't directly involved, but I know what kind of happened, blah, 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 blah. When I hear the team might be at 25 and the Terry on the high end might be at 35 and the market itself is at 30, you know what I hear when I hear all that? That's how negotiations supposed to work. Like the middle point ends up being around 30, right? So like it to me, it ends up being a thing where I did think that Washington was probably in a position where they were going to overpay what it is they think they want to do for him. Because I still look at it in the sense of, and you did a phenomenal job last week going through every single one of the comps, or really the people that can't really be comp, but like special receivers and what it is that they get, right? We're talking about a third contract for a guy who's still under contract, doesn't want to go on those last year, but there isn't a really good comp for it. And what you're experiencing at the same time that this is happening is receivers are breaking the market completely compared to what it is that they've done previously. Like I was looking at some of the contracts of some of the guys that were on that list last week. $6 million a year, like $10 million a year. Like it's changed on an exponential level. But if you follow the trend or the thought process that, look, if I believe what it is I've heard, that they did not communicate or they have not been talking at all, and that now the communication is finally opened up, yeah, usually there's a little bit of hesitation as far as what anyone's going to say in the initial realm of the negotiation. I'd agree with you. I wish that all of this stuff had happened a lot sooner than that. But I think that it was, I really do think that it's just a situation where, and I give you that I do think it's probably a mistake on Adam Peters' part, not being more prepared for what it is that Terry himself is going to ask for. The fact is that if Terry is asking for $35 million a year and this is coming out of absolutely nowhere, I would say there's probably supposed to be a little more due diligence on your guys' part to figure that part of it out. So, I mean, I think that's where I'm at on that. But, I mean, right now, I still think that they are in the throes of a negotiation and will probably end up throughout the training camp period, which is what I kind of thought would probably happen. At least I didn't necessarily fully believe that it was going to get done before training camp, just because, especially what we heard last week, that they're not talking. But if they're talking right now, they've got two numbers. There's a number in the middle of both the like dead set or in the, I mean, shit, if we're looking at dead set in the middle compared to the two numbers you were looking at, we're looking at about what, 28 mil? And if we're looking at 28 mil, I think 28, 30 mil seems to me right now to be that sweet spot that might get that deal done.
I think if they get to 30, I think this can happen. So what I'm seeing right now, because that 35 number is Justin Jefferson, and I don't think, this is just an opinion, I don't think Terry is going, I need to eclipse Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's doing that. I think go ahead.
I don't know where you guys are getting that from, because like like I get the idea that maybe we think it might be silly that Terry's looking at Justin Jefferson numbers, but the vibe that I got, because you guys knew I didn't want to say it last week, but I did say it in the sense of when I'm looking at this particular contract negotiation, everybody's kind of taking sides. I will always be on the side of the player, but I'm not going to deny that Terry, I think, escalated this entire situation, what it is he did by going on the media and talking the way that he did. And what I was experiencing with Terry, as much as he's humble, the boy is also confident as fuck. And there's also a level of limit in which I think after what it is that he saw last season, he's as high as himself as you are on him, which is like when we started talking about this at the beginning, you were all for giving him 30 plus, 34, 35 million. And I think that, right. And I think that's where Terry is. Like, I do think that that's where Terry McLaurin is. Now, I'm of the idea that 35 million where you were scraping against Justin Jefferson, to me, for Terry McLaurin, as much as I love this dude, I don't have him in the same tier as Justin Jefferson.
But that's why I don't think he's there. I think for me, I'm looking at the contracts, right? Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, 4 years, 136. I'm not looking at them. I'm looking at DK Metcalf. That's the one that if I'm Terry, that's a bit bothersome, right? Because that's 4 years, 132, and he was drafted the exact same year as me, right? And you can make the case that now with quarterback play, I'm doing it. So, like, what are we talking about over here? That's my number. Yeah, sure. That's the age thing. But other than that, he's like, hey, I was drafted the exact same year. That's the tread on the tires. I'm just trying to make the point, Kid, that that's the AAV we're looking at. I think he sees DK, not the other guys, but DK, and goes, same class year as me, or draft class year as me. I feel like I've outproduced him, or at least produced at his number. So give me that number.
I don't think that. Once again, I'm just going off of where it is, and I'm saying it seems that the contract negotiations stand, which is that they are far the fuck apart.
They are very far apart.
Right. And if they're far the fuck apart right now going into it, to me, what it seems as though happened was early on this offseason, the Washington Commanders heard Terry's camp probably throw out a number. And they were like, okay, well, that's fucking stupid. So we're not talking about that. Hopefully he sees the rest of the market, things will happen, and he'll get back in line with what it is we think will be, which maybe we'll add a few $1 million on that, on top of what it is he already renegotiated with us. Then everybody gets paid. I mean, Garrett Wilson gets paid. The DK Metcalf thing fucking happens. Like, all this shit goes down, right? And then you're sitting and watching, you're like, well, he's still 2 years old in the DK. He can't expect to get that. And the number, no, I haven't balked. That's just exactly where it is. I think I'm that fucking good, which is the vibe that you guys are coming from, a standpoint that I'm hearing as far as Commanders fans, to still think that Terry is this like mild-mannered guy who's like wants to do right by the team, but like he's always been the good soldier here doing what it is that he needs to do. Okay. I see an athlete the same way that I would see myself in any profession, trying to get the most amount of fucking money that they can before they leave.
I agree with that, by the way. Yeah.
Right. So, like, at the end of the day, like, if you're Terry, and as you said, that if you expect there are other teams out there, be it your New England Patriots, so with the Drake May might say, dude, we've seen some dregs as far as from the wide receiver room recently. Can we put Terry next to Stephon Diggs and we're okay with paying $34, $35 million a year?
Mhm.
If you're Terry, that's something you need to consider. And if you're Washington, you need to consider what the compensation is. Because it's like I said, I want Terry here. But if
Mhm.
I was the one that if I was Adam Peters trying to do the job in Adam Peters' mind, I don't think I'm getting the 34 or 35 million.
You
As
don't
the
have
fan
to.
in me,
I'm
I
telling
don't.
you, you don't have to.
I'm fighting 30. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, understood. So, like, the way I see it, K-Dot, which is why I'm very worried, is because the midpoint is in the high 20s, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm assuming 33 mil, right? Or I want to beat DK's number if I'm Terry. That's 3 years, 100. That's what I keep throwing out. It just beats DK. You're good, right? Because that's 33.3.
Yeah.
So
Repeat.
versus the 33. So if I'm looking at that as the upper bound, 33.3, and I take that immediately, and then we negotiate down to teams at 25. Okay, the midpoint's around 28 point, whatever. And my fear currently is elite wide receiver equals 30 million a year minimum at this point. So if I'm not getting to 30, you don't view me as elite, and I'm not signing it. So if we even get to the midpoint, I'm sorry, that's not good enough. The team actually needs to go further than the 50%. They need to go beyond the midpoint for Terry to entertain the offer. And so because of that, and I don't see the team necessarily doing that, that is my worry. I just wanted to illustrate that for folks. That's where I'm like, oh boy, if the team it's a new crew, right? They are trying to establish their stuff. They know Deebo's coming up too. If they feel he's going to do well and they're trying to do both, they can't go past a certain number. Because if they want to try and get both, if they can get, by the way, if they can do 3 years, 84 with Terry, that's a huge win. Because then next year they actually can get Deebo. They can try and get him for a little less than Terry.
Right.
And now you can get both. So I understand the team perspective, totally get what they're shooting for here. I think they're playing with fire with a really, really good wide receiver here that has been there from the jump, and they know what he means to the fan base. I don't think they're tone deaf there. They know.
Like, you can see it in Adam Peters' face and his voice. Yeah.
I think that's why he's sweating. Like, you could tell he's like, oh boy, like this is one of the toughest negotiations I can go through. That's why I'm scared. Okay. That's why.
If the answer to whether or not, if scared is Terry potentially not going to suit up again for us, yeah, color me in the scared territory. But I always thought that we were kind of here. I still think a deal gets done. I still think if there's one side that's probably going to bulk, it's going to be Terry more, and it's going to be the organization itself. And I still think that, to me, the contract that I keep looking back to, the one that I keep doing the comparison to, is the T. Higgins deal. And the only thing that I look at with the T. Higgins deal is that you just need your average to be above that number. And if your average is above that number to make Terry one of the high, to make Terry, he'd be the king of the number twos. If not, hey, you're on the lower rung of the number ones. And that's where it is that we look at you. As far as the number ones that are getting paid, right? So like that's where it is that we look at you. And look, you're gonna have to take some of that because of the aspect of where it is we were looking at from a year standpoint. And the thing is, like, look, there is a compensation piece for Terry in the sense of last year and looking at how much he's making a year and that production, and then being able to say, all right, well, he's better than that, right? But before that point, even with the renegotiation or with the second contract, do we think he was unfairly paid at that particular point? Like right now, right. So like what we're dealing with right now is you're dealing with a 1 year of phenomenal play with quarterback that was dope, but you're also now talking, right? Should be consistent. But now you're also talking about the piece that I think you get. Once again, you showed a lot of stats as far as the elite receivers that once they hit 30 and they're still doing whatever. But once again, if we're looking at from a season standpoint, you have 1 year from Terry that might be in that elite status. 1 year that might be in that elite status. And it's coming right before he hits 30 years old. So, okay, maybe and then the other piece of it that I don't understand, that I don't quite know, because I don't hear enough people talking about it, except for some rumors that I heard yesterday, but I don't know who to attribute it to, is the length of contract situation. So 3 years, 4 years, what does that look like?
Yeah.
Right. And that might, and of course, usually the length of contract is a much bigger deal for some of the players. Team-wise, they're trying to spread some of the money out or whatever. Maybe that's something, but I don't think that that's the situation. I think the deal right now is where it is they're going to get with that dollar figure per year. And I do think if I'm looking at the market, even though I love Terry McLaurin, and I see $29 million being offered in the Washington Commanders that I can sign right here on the dotted line, I'd do it. And you know what I also do? If I don't like the $29 million, I'm saying you need to get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And a trade request. Jeremy Fowler, also, we didn't pull that clip, but he said, I think anything's on the table. He didn't say it with a level of urgency such that that is right around the corner, just
Right.
to be clear.
It wouldn't be.
Right. But this could, yeah, I see this going for a while. I don't see this ending anytime soon. I know some people are saying, okay, you know, by Friday, that's the time of this recording, or like, you know, middle next week. I would be blown away if it gets done that quickly, because that means someone's bending the knee out really, really fast. And I just, at this point, from a save face perspective, from either party, it wouldn't look good. One of them would just look really bad compared to the other. So I think this is going to drag. Harry Douglas on, I want to say First Take earlier, was talking about, hey, when you're a wide receiver and you play as long as you do risk a soft tissue injury. Now, we know Terry's work ethic, but you cannot replicate what you're doing at training camp. You may get off to a slow start. How do you ramp him back up? I'm looking at a weeks-long thing here. I hope it gets done. I do. I don't know if the team's going to get to 30 a year. And if they don't, I don't know that Terry's signing anything below it.
I think 29 can still get this done.
I hope so, because that's the sort of point where I'm like a little gray. Does Terry give in just a little bit? 3 years, 87, but like 70s.
$4 million over your ass. Like it's 4 million over. I'm sorry, $4 million over your ass.
Under.
It's 4 mils. It's 4 million under your ass, but also 4 million over what it is the Commanders are offering you. That, ladies and gentlemen, is called a negotiation. So like that's where I'm at with that. Is that like I've already said. We were looking at what thresholds needed to hit that we would hear about or confirm potentially that we would either blame one side or blame the other side. Mm-hmm. What was the number that we had? What was the number that you had as far as from a Commander's perspective? What's the number that you have from a team?
Right. I'd said if the team didn't even offer 3 years, 90, I would be upset. Right. To get that, we're talking that elite money that you want. That's the 30 million. If they didn't even let him get the opportunity to sign something that says, yeah, I'm making 30 million a year, I'm elite, I would be upset. That's where I'm at. Where did you say you were at again, K-Dot, over there?
Follow-up question would be, I'm sorry, sorry, the computer froze, so I just
don't worry about it.
Roll with it. Are you angry with Adam Peters right now?
No, just to be clear, I'm not angry with Adam Peters right now. I do think he miscalculated this. I'd say that. I would say that this is a misstep. I would say that this is currently a mistake. But mistakes do happen. I also think he's been doing a great job so far, so I'm not angry with him. Yeah. But I do think that he has misjudged this situation. That's where I'm at. I don't know about you.
I'm not like I still think when it all boils down to it, I think Terry's probably asking for north of 33. And if that's the case, if the Commanders are at 25, 26, somewhere around that realm, I do think there's a space in the middle that makes everybody just unhappy enough to be happy.
I can subscribe to that.
Right. Yes. So like, that's where I'm at with it at this particular point. If Terry wants, look, we all know everybody's seen the picture on Twitter. He's in Ashburn. So he's around, right? He's in town. He ain't going anywhere. Right. So
no, he's a PR demon, man. This guy's incredible when it comes to this stuff.
Well, I don't love it. I don't love everything I'm seeing, but but there is an element of he wants to be here. He's eager to be here, what have you. Right. And if that's the case, then I do think you have a situation where I don't think anybody's happy, as they're not usually in a negotiation, but I still think there's room there. If I do hear once again that Terry's holding out because he wants north of 33, 34, 35, I'm like, dude, do I think you're worth that personally from a fan perspective? Probably. But if I was the one who's 1 year in and I have a game plan, and now this is throwing a wrench into the game plan as far as what it is I want to do, and I was in the NFC Championship last year, I care much more about the overall plan I do about any individual player.
Well, and no exception for me. And it's got to be said, if Terry didn't give a crap about being here, he would just play through the final year of his deal, not make a fuss about it, and then be entertaining the open market. He's holding out because he wants to be here. No, that's the purpose of a holdout, because he will get paid. Even if he got hurt, he will get paid a ton if he hits the open market. That's just, we saw the free agent contracts, K.
He gets paid but there's a difference between being a receiver that's about to push 30 coming off an injury compared to not coming off injury. If he's coming off injury, I'd be happy to get Mike Evans fucking numbers of Terry McLaurin at that
that's
point,
true.
right?
That's true.
So like that's where this is his last payday. This is the last one. This is the last negotiation that he gets to have that payday. Typically, we're not necessarily seeing it like right here at this time. It's just the timing is just weird when it comes to the situation, which is what's causing all the friction. But if I was comparing this to any other situation, as far as somebody wants more money on a football team, this feels pretty fucking normal to me so far. And we're still so early on in this thing. I'm not worried about anything. If soft tissue injury, what have you, like that ends up being football's football. The money aspect of it right now is something that's got to get figured out. And from a Terry McLaurin standpoint, he'd rather know that if something were to happen, he's at least got 3 years on a fucking deal compared to 1 year on a fucking deal, that he's got that money and funds coming in, even if he were to have something happen. So I want that for him. You want that safety, you want that security. It's just, can they get there? I still think so. I still think the number, if they come back and the numbers around 29, 30, 31 at the max, I'm like, cool. If it's more than 31, I'm like, gung-ho, happy for Terry, like I'd be happy for a fucking brother, but I'd still be looking at Adam Peters like, you motherfucker. Because here's the thing that none of the fans are talking about. If they pay Terry, right, and we don't win shit, it's on Adam. Like, all we care about is what it is that ends up happening at the end of the day. And I'm sorry, as much as there are tons of players that I have loved over the course of my lifetime here, Clinton Porter, Sean Taylor, Chris Cooley, London Fletcher, all them youngs, love them to death. I'd trade all my time with every last one of them motherfuckers if it meant a Super Bowl. I don't know about you. That's how I am.
So I think this is a really nice way to segue to the next thing in just a moment. And we'll conclude with actually something Mina Kimes said also on First Take, which was, hey, like we had said earlier, yes, K-Dot, she's a smart woman. When you bring in a Laramie Tunsil, when you bring in a Deebo Samuel, when you bring in a Von Miller, is now the right time to play hardball with a Terry McLaurin? I don't think so. And I fully agree, right? Because that's the vibe. No, you're talking about the vibes. You're talking about winning a Super Bowl.
You're right.
That matters.
100%.
That's the connection there.
And that to me is the miscalculation. If the miscalculation is not Terry wanting 35 mil, the miscalculation is you thought you had it in the bag and you went and you got Deebo Samuel and you went and you got Von Miller. And now shit's looking weird.
That's exactly it. That's the miscalculation. Yeah. And I think Mina said it perfectly. It's like you make all those moves and then this happens and you're not prepared for it. Like that there's a misstep there. And so anyway,
100%.
With that, let's talk about training camp, because a lot of other guys who are established on this team, who are looking to make the team, did take the field. And it is super exciting. And there's no better medicine than Jayden Daniels' very first throw, completion throw, whatever, very first throw to Deebo. Why don't you go ahead and take a look at this beauty? Well, we're going to have to get used to that for a little bit, because that Terry McLaurin holdout's going to happen for a while. But man, oh man, the ball placement on that thing, very first throw of training camp, was an absolute beauty. You see Aaron Rodgers throwing a pick on his very first throw, and you see Caleb Williams throwing a pick on his very first throw. Our guy locked in from minute one. Great to see. The timeline got a cleanse from all the Terry stuff. And it's just great that football's back. K-Dot, what have been your thoughts so far with training camps, or any notes that you've picked up on so far?
Tyler Owens getting better position, son. Like that's what I saw.
I'm not even going to fault him that much. He's playing corner all of a sudden.
I get it, but it's look, man. What we wanted to see was ironing, sharpening iron, or steel sharpening, whatever it is that Dan Quinn keeps fucking saying. Yeah, this is dope that football is back. It like anytime Kay Adams is there, and it just feel good, right? It just feels good. Yeah, everything is for everybody that's feeling some sort of way about everything else that might be happening with the team, as far as the Terry McLaurin thing, as far as that Cheeto motherfucker, like all that shit. This does feel like a palate cleanse, and I just want to hear more stories about them battling it the fuck out. I like hearing that Tyler Owens is playing different positions. I like hearing that Trey Amos is starting outside opposite of fucking Marshon Lattimore. I like hearing that Mike Sanders still is looking good playing the nickel where he's supposed to be fucking playing. I like hearing that Jalen Lane is standing out and everybody, because your boy likes being right. I like seeing, or dude, you mentioned last week, but the mind fuck of seeing Ryan Kerrigan and Von Miller just like, what? With Bobby Wagner just around? It's just nuts. Like, it just feels good. It feels like we're just right around the corner. This is that time of year to start sneaking up on you, right? End of July, August, before you know the season, and then try to get rid of that shit to get into the regular season. I love this time of year.
It's a beautiful time of year. And I got to say, my very first note, K-Dot, was Jayden Daniels goes to the podium, then Bobby Wagner goes to the podium, and then Von Miller goes to the podium. And it is just like, is this real? So, like, first is, this is unbelievable. Having this level of talent, they're bought in. Von Miller saying you can't just go from Josh Allen to just anybody.
Right.
And he's picking our guy in year two, right? Like, that kind of stuff. And Von's presence alone is just, you can feel it. You can feel it through just watching the interview on your TV or on your laptop, your phone. You're just like, wow, that's Von Miller. So that was one of my first notes. Is it seems like in terms of leadership, in terms of experience, in terms of energy, things are aligning pretty well right now for those that are there. Other note, Tyler Owens did start with the ones to begin training camp, which is very encouraging news. Another little nugget, I read into it. Other people don't have to, but I'm biased to Tyler Owens. His locker, right next to Tyler Biotish, right next to Bobby Wagner. I think that's cool. I think that's dope. So I still expect things from Tyler Owens, but it's cool to hear that he is starting with the ones. It looks like he'll get an opportunity with the ones. People seem to like him. Of course, Will Harris is going to have something to say. He's penciled as the starter right now alongside Quan Martin, but that's a name certainly looking out for. And shout out Ja'Cory Brooks, for those that have been following, undrafted free agent out of Louisville, who just had a bad combine. Boy, oh boy, K-Dot. 3 touchdowns in the last 2 days. 1 from Mariota, 2 from Jayden Daniels. So while Terry does sit, it's leaving opportunities for others. And Ja'Cory Brooks seems to be the big winner through the first 2 days so far as an undrafted free agent who's turning heads from multiple people. Like, this is a big deal for somebody that's trying to make the team right now. So just a couple names to look out for. Very exciting stuff so far from them. Any other names that you're thinking of, K-Dot, so far through training camp?
Well, I mean, are we doing position battles sort of thing?
Sure.
Yet,
sure. You absolutely take it there. Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, of course, everybody knows a certain position. Like, you've pretty much nailed the secondary, which is probably the place I'm looking at more than any other place. Just because I think if that ends up working the way that I think it could, if Trey Amos ends up being a guy, they get the safeties figured out, it's going to help a whole lot of shit on that defense compared to what it is that happened last year with us. So that to me is what I'm looking at when what ends up being the lineup, or what ends up being the package looks that they're looking for with it. When are they going to have Quan Martin on the field? When are they going to have Tyler Owens on the field? What does that look like? I think the starter situation in the secondary is sort of it doesn't really matter, just because of the amount of packages that I know Dan Quinn will like to throw in. It just depends on what's happening. You get some guys are going to get played, some guys are not going to. So secondary, it ends up being like chief number one. Is exciting to see a lot of the young cats there to do that thing. And then Terry being out, the silver lining being that we have a lot of pass catchers that are young, that are unproven, not the New England core, but the other guys, the guys that are undrafted free agents, the Jalen Lanes, the Luke McCaffrey, who was gotten a lot of love on some news articles stuff with his dad giving an interview not that long ago, as far as how hungry he is or how many positions they had him play for him to start learning what's what. And then we also know, like, from a Ben Sinnott standpoint, when it comes to tight end, that's pretty much the only person I have circled right now. As Ben said, is he going to get the playing time? But once again, just from a receiving standpoint, I want to see guys show that they're gonna get opportunities right now. With Terry not being there, because Terry commands a lot of attention. So if you can stand out right now, this would be a huge moment for you potentially making the team. And I'm excited about some of these other dudes, Ja'Cory Brooks, as well as everybody knows how high I'm on Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey. It's going to be a huge thing as far as that goes. Defensive line, I don't know what the fuck I read at anything. I'm trying to, from a training camp standpoint, it's one of those position groups that, like, you don't quite know until they get into real time. And I don't know what's going to look like what with all the different guys they have from a versatility standpoint, whatever. Offensive line, I want to hear good things about Brandon Cole. I think that's probably a huge thing on the offensive line, because right now I'm worried about when it comes to run defense. The run blocking on offense. But I tell you right now, Brandon Coleman can use that physicality to get better in the run game, which I know is something you've been looking out for.
Yes, I have.
That ends up being something I'm hearing that, Coleman's a bit of a bully out there. You hear, like, he took on Newton, like, knocked him on his ass. He pancaked Johnny. That's something I want to hear. Especially with the news about Sam Cosmi possibly being ready for week 1.
Which is exciting. And Dan Quinn did clarify that, just to be clear, say that, it means he just wouldn't be on PUP, but it means he could be back week 2, week 3. Like, that's exciting. Please continue.
That is super exciting. So those probably, but then, nothing that's too surprising outside of those. Like, I think the position beyond those that everybody's looking at, because everything else is pretty solidified except for running back, which I'm not getting into, and linebacker. Linebacker's the one. Linebacker is Donnie Hampton a guy? Is Jordan McGee a guy? Who's the guy? Right now, I know Frankie Louvu's a guy. Right now, I know Bobby Wagner's a guy. Right now, I know Von Miller. I don't know where the fuck. God, I hate that he's wearing 24, but wherever it is they put him, he's a guy. Which one of the young guys that we've heard about the last season or two are going to step the fuck up and show that they might be the second coming of something? Kay Madrano is another dude that I've been looking out for as far as, like, what's happening. But there's got to be somebody out of that young group on the defense around linebacker that needs to start standing out. I need to hear at least about one of them.
Right. So, Kid, you'd mentioned any number of positions. One of them you had mentioned, because I have 5 written down over here. One of them is Luke McCaffrey versus Jalen Lane. And so that right off the bat, based on how high you are on Jalen Lane, based on how high people have talked or how highly people have spoken of Jalen Lane so far, that looks like that could be a thing. It's very early days. So people saying, oh, I haven't heard anything about Luke McCaffrey. Settle down. It's been 2 days, right? They haven't even put the pads on or anything. So I'm not concerned about anybody I'm not hearing about right now. I just want to provide that disclaimer. Okay. But Luke McCaffrey, go ahead.
Do you think they're vying for the same sort of position at wide receiver?
I think when we're looking at, like, the slot, yeah, I'd say so. At least the way I envision it, a couple, like, Jalen provides more speed. Wow. What'd you say? Sorry. I lost you for a moment.
I don't have Lane at the slot.
Okay. Got it. I do as of right now. But that is something I'm certainly looking out for, is which of the young guys has a better camp than the other. I think it's certainly on the board that Jalen does better. But I also know Luke McCaffrey put in a lot of work this offseason. You even mentioned his dad mentioning how hungry he is. Like, let's go ahead and see what happens over there. Right tackle. Josh Connerly is a first-round pick. He played left tackle at Oregon, transitioned to right tackle. Not always just the smoothest thing in the world. Could be. That'd be great. But Andrew Wiley, been there, done that for a while, right? So the experienced veteran versus the rookie that's switching positions, but you love the athleticism, you love the technique. Can he get a strong grip on that right tackle position that we're all projecting? And if he can, I think that's very, very good news and a quick return on your first rounder. Safety, alluded to it earlier with Tyler Owens, Will Harris. Can Tyler Owens, who's been around the team already for a year, that's his little leg up, can he do something against Will Harris, who was brought in here to be the starter, right? So, like, that is a very intriguing one for me as well. A running back, I've just written Bill. I just want to see how he does. I just want to hear how he does, because I think we got a steal in the 7th round. And these days, running backs going in those later rounds, you can immediately throw them in conversations to be a starter, to be a backup, like right off the bat. It happens these days in the NFL.
Yep.
And exactly what you said, Kate, out with the linebackers. McGee versus Hampton versus Madrano. I need one of them to be the best out of the 3 and step up during this training camp. That is excellent, and it's so underrated. That is excellent news, because then you get Frankie Louvu being able to play wherever, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the winner of that enables Frankie, is the way I'm thinking about it, right? So like that is so key to this season. So that's what I'm looking out for here, K-Dot, as training camp rolls around.
No, I don't disagree with any of those things. I think that, well, no, I guess the only thing would be the Jalen and Luke McCaffrey thing. I'll give you this, with the Terry McLaurin situation, what it is that I thought was going to happen with the wide receiver room might not happen with the wide receiver room. So I'm put that out there. Just because, I mean, I don't think anybody was looking at anything this season that did not have Terry McLaurin included in the picture. So that's a bit of an issue. Yeah, no, I agree with all of it. I really do. The linebacker thing is the thing that I think is going to be really, really interesting. I just feel like there's some hype there with everything that we've seen as far as the ranking of Bobby Wagner and the ranking of where Frankie Louvu is, and everybody knowing that Bobby's in the twilight of his career. And then also knowing Dan Quinn's history, knowing knowing Ken Norton, there's just got to be somebody that steps up. I feel like it would be an absolute fucking travesty if one of these linebackers don't end up being pretty fucking good with the leadership and the teaching that's there in the room. It means they really fucked up as far as the athleticism. So far, they've really done a good job with that. So if they can couple the athleticism with the teachings, should be lights out. I'm just excited to see the defense more than anything just kind of play. And right now with training camp, as long as the Terry's out, it's just let them boys have as much fun, and just let's keep hearing about these young guys. Let's keep hearing stories about guys like Brooks. Like, we want to, that's the shit that's going to get me off right now, is like what it is that I feel excitement about as far as some of the young guys.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfectly said, because that is where I am too. And we've been harping on this for a while now. Like, we feel very confident in Jayden. We feel good about his second year coming up. What does this defense look like? Right?
Yeah.
Because 18th in scoring defense, not great. But now it's year 2 of Dan Quinn. It's year 2 of Joe Witt. We know they're clear communicators. Can these players step up in year 2 of the system? It's also got to be noted, Marshon Lattimore looks completely healthy right now. It's the same thing with the mandatory minicamp. Same thing right now in training camp. He's looking fluid, according to a lot of reporters so far. And Trey Amos is getting rave reviews again. And it's early days, right? We'll throw the pads on soon enough, and we will see them in 11. It's going to be great. I am excited to see how Trey Amos does against Deebo Samuel and against some of these other guys, maybe a Jalen Lane, maybe a Luke. Man, the depth at the wide receiver position, maybe Ja'Cory Brooks. I don't know. Right. But it's going to be interesting to see how these corners do with Jayden dropping back with these wide receivers. I'm excited to see it, because if Trey Amos works out, right, this is if season. This is peak if season across the board in the NFL. But if Trey Amos is as good as people are currently saying he is, well, Trey one side, Marshon the other, and Mikey gets to play in the slot, you suddenly like the secondary as arguably a strength of the team. Like, that is really, really positive, and would just help Jayden do a little bit less on the flip side, because that's the complementary football we get into. So very, very exciting times. Any other notes here or thoughts here, K-Dot, before we move to the comment mailbag?
Yeah, hearing anyone say our wide receiver room and sound excited, but like we have something already. I'm hanging on. Once again, my excitement around the wide receiver room is to give young guys a chance. I have no fucking idea how good or bad they are. Yeah. This is, look, you go through stages when it comes to this offseason. This is my favorite time, because it's you're hearing news stories from journalists you respect about that, know your team, but everybody's in this eager standpoint and can't wait to start forecasting what's going to happen. So this is what I call bullshit season. It's not lying. It's just everybody's full of shit right now. Okay. Everybody's full of shit. If you're negative on something, you're extra negative. If you're positive on something, you're extra positive. Everybody's searching for something. We don't know what's happening until they start really fucking playing, period. And that's all I want to make sure that everybody knows, that like over here on Dish Divided, I like to keep things medium.
Like to keep things schmedium. I got to say that this news just broke, so now we're giving away our typical recording time. Commanders did agree to a 1-year extension for safety and special teamer Percy Butler, so congratulations to Percy for that 1-year extension. It seems to certainly strengthen his hold, you would think, on being able to make the team. That's announced. We'll see. But I know fans have split opinion on Percy Butler. But if he's playing both safety, special teams is so valuable, right? Like if you're doing that and you're also playing some safety here and there, like you're gonna make teams. So congratulations to Percy Butler, but that just broke. And in Terry's absence, we did sign Tay Martin, which was a hilarious post because he has the same initials, and so a lot of people were like, "Oh shit, we saw it." Oh my god! So that happened. Oh, that was a pretty funny troll. They didn't mean it that way, I don't think. But it was
also the wedding thing. Stop.
Oh yeah,
Stop it.
That was legitimately nothing.
They gave him his own post for his wedding. Nobody else got their own fucking post. Chill out, guys.
Exactly.
Dude, you're dealing with a fan base right now that has known nothing but pain for decades.
Mm-hmm.
We got one glimmer of hope, and everybody right now is like, no one knows how to handle themselves, how to compose themselves with any of it. They don't know. They're not used to not complaining.
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing. And then even when they can't trust the good things are good right now, they just won't do it.
Right. Well,
maybe
you
should.
Is this us? I keep forgetting which one it is, Stockholm or Battered Wife or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, Stockholm. Right.
Oh.
So like you were just used to things going wrong. You're used to like little things happening that are just not right. Like,
not neither Stockholm syndrome or
it's neither
Battered Wife. No, but the club. But I mean, I think we suffer from all of these things, right? So it's like
it's all of them.
It's all of them. It's like, yeah, we're a. I mean, if you're watching this pod and you're a Commanders fan, unless you're an Eagles fan, like Coach. I mean, and this also extends to you, Coach. We all need to be in therapy.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
like Beijing.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
we
not
should
battered.
all be on
it's
drugs.
Not battered wife syndrome. I just
battered wife syndrome is when you just keep coming back to the. That's our relationship.
Pattern of signs and symptoms displayed. Who has suffered persistent, partner violence.
Stockholm syndrome is when you're around so long you start feeling empathetic to your kidnapper. So that's those people that we saw over the years that defended Dan Snyder.
No, it's not that. Right. There you go. All right, cool. Well, I learned a couple things over there. And I was about to jump over to the comment mailbag, K-Dot, but we do have another topic that we are going to discuss. That was clearly my subconscious being like, don't worry about it.
We don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want to, but we would be remiss not to quickly touch on it. President, in an attempt to avoid the Epstein files, decides to talk about the team name. And that's about it. He also had a prior tweet from many years ago before he was president saying any president that's talking about the team name is an idiot and needs to make sure that he's focused on the bigger issues. That's your context there. K-Dot, your reaction to this story.
There's never been a more transparent human being, and I don't understand how anybody look. Go read his book. Just do that, and you'll understand everything you need to know about him. He's not changed. But regardless, the way that I feel about this, I think everybody knows the way that we feel on this podcast about the name. We don't want to go back. In all honesty. But I am not at the standpoint where I'm fighting everybody about the name anymore. And if you want the name back, Godspeed, whatever. I'm not arguing with you. It's just not my priority. If you're one of those people that want to vote on a poll that you'd rather have the name back than a winning team, we're not built the same. We might share a love for the same team, but the way that love is represented is extremely different. With this particular situation itself, the thing that pisses me off more than any other thing is, as much as I know that there are a lot of fans out there that do miss the name, I would rather the name situation come back in almost any other situation than hearing somebody politically use my favorite football team as a political fucking football for their bullshit nonsense. Mm-hmm. And that to me is the thing that I can't fucking deal with. And I'll tell you this right now. If it came down to a situation where they wanted the team name back and it was him that was putting it out there, that the team name was coming back, and otherwise we couldn't get a stadium in D.C., take a look at Maryland, take a look at Virginia. I will damn sure not play bitch to that asshole in the sense of the way that my football team gets run. So that's where I'm coming from. It. I'm angry that I'm hearing about my football team on CNN, on Fox News, on MSNBC, in the context of someone using it to further or to not even further, to distract from their bullshit. Like that to me is where it becomes unforgivable. Look, we can have debates about the team name. You guys can go talk to any Native American leagues or fucking tribes or whatever. Maybe you get some people on your side. There are ways to go about this if you want to fucking go about it. Do your thing. I'm more worried about the product on the field, and I refuse to be okay with anyone using the football team.
If Trump were to be injected with truth serum and you asked him, do you care about the team name? I would bet my life savings the answer is no. He just ends up saying a whole lot of stuff that he just throws out there, knows gets a reaction. People talk about it. The national news media has done it again. CNN covers it. Fox covers it instead of the more important things. Cover the more important things, please. Like that is just where I'm at. This is a non-story to me. He's probably already forgotten. I don't think it is.
I get it.
The only reason it is because he's claiming that he would actually stop this stadium deal from happening. I truly don't see that being a thing. And so, yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Like, I know that we don't delve too much into politics, and if you got a problem with it, go fuck yourself. But I think right now what you're seeing in as far as the situation here, and I don't want to be hyperbolic because I do think white liberals, you guys are a little too hyperbolic most of the time. Fucking performative assholes. But what I'm seeing right now is a situation in which every institution, every system, everybody that I'm seeing is trying to appease the asshole that's right there in the White House in the sense of, hey, it's only temporary. Let's deal with this shit right now. We can get to what it is we need to a later date. You look at Muriel Bowser, if you're a Washingtonian, you know how much Bowser is bent over backwards just to not have to deal with this shit. And I get it. I get certain levels of appeasement. When you see institutions like colleges, when you see government agencies and all sorts of stuff kind of folding under pressure of this, I think all bets are off as far as what anyone can say one is capable or not capable of doing as far as from his power. Do I find it likely that he will give a shit about this long enough to make it an issue? No, that won't be the case. But I do think it's a story. I do think when the president does something, it is a story, regardless how fucking stupid it is. And the main reason I wanted to talk about this at all is shout out tremendously Matt Stone and Trey Parker in that South Park episode they released last night. 10 out of 10. And it is look, I know people get a little salty with the way that I might conduct myself on this podcast every once in a while. But fuck off. First Amendment, baby. Through and through. Doesn't mean you got to say dumb shit, but at least provide some context. Say shit with your chest, you know? And I can stand by the shit I say with my chest.
I am very much looking forward to seeing that episode. I've heard about the episode. I've heard it's fantastic. I can't wait to see. I might see it right after this.
My girl's laying on the couch right now. So this is the first time in this relationship she's had on the podcast. That's me with my illustrious wall art and all kind of shit behind me. As soon as we're wrapping this up, that's what's getting fired up. As soon as we wrap this up.
All right.
And Fantastic Four.
And so with that, we go over to the comment mailbag featuring an intro from our very own Nikki.
Problematic.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right. Thank you as always for that intro, Nikki, beginning with two comments, one in a positive direction for SK and another in a negative direction for SK.
God damn it.
RCART612 shout out. New listener, you guys are great for in-depth analysis and subscribed, which we greatly appreciate over there. Thank you. We got one more comment coming from him or her in just a moment. And then there's Guitar Gangster 23. This is unfortunately the negative one. Too much profanity. First time. Last time. Which is probably for the best because we are going to continue running this our way. But we appreciate you stopping by. Unfortunately, not your cup of tea.
What I'm hating is how locked I am with the comment. I do not read the comments before podcasts. And it is crazy how they've been segued in. But I do, anytime there's a negative comment, I do have to pull it up and see what's what. So what is this guy? Who did you say was this
Guitar Gangster 23.
Guitar Gangster 23 with a landscape as your profile picture, you fucking coward. Also, last time, 4 comments on this channel. Eat a dick.
Go to RCART612.
What are we doing? What are we doing? Hey, I know you're watching now, asshole.
Oh, yeah, 4 comments. Oh, yeah, you're right. All right, well, Guitar Gangster, we'll see you again soon.
Kiss Trump's tiny micro penis.
RCART612 also, because we talked about Von Miller last episode, goes blitz packages with Von Miller will be better too. right? So if you have, which is an excellent point, right? If you have your front four and you're bringing heat and you got Von Miller on the line, who's still, according to Bobby Wagner, his ability to read a snap count and get off that line quickly generates the pressure, right? Yeah. Puts that right tackle in a really difficult position. Maybe opens a gap for somebody else. Cooking with gas there, K-Dot. Once again, very exciting addition.
What Von will, if Von can do what he's done his entire career, even last year, at a modicum of a level at which he's done it, it will open up so much for so many, especially when you talk about the speed we have at certain levels of football.
Yeah, for real. Completely agree with you there, RKT. Jubiel 5177 shout out goes, love the show. What are your guys' thoughts on Jordan McGee this year? And so Jordan McGee was also, I can't remember which reporter this was that had asked Bobby Wagner, but she had asked Bobby about Jordan McGee specifically. And Bobby did answer saying, hey, he's one to look out for when you're one of the younger guys. It's a brand new experience when you're a rookie in the NFL. And now it's his second year. We look forward to seeing what he does. It's like not quite an endorsement because you're sort of forced to talk about the guy and you're never going to say anything else. I will say this, that a lot of people, Dan Quinn in particular, I believe it was Dan Quinn who was talking about having Jordan McGee specific packages are high on him. I still think Dominique Hampton is the guy that I'm looking out for that's a bit under the radar relative to others that are talking about Jordan McGee. Jordan McGee is built, by the way. They released a couple photos of him just walking out. Love for it to work out. That'd be great. I just think Dominique Hampton is going to be the guy that ends up being that person for us. K-Dot, your reaction?
I'm hoping either one, and I'd add.
Yeah, don't care who, just to be clear.
I just want it.
I don't give a damn if I'm right.
Let me ask you, this is not to put you on the spot. You might know the answer to this question. I will reveal something about myself after you answer this question.
Okay.
Can you tell me what number jersey Dominique Hampton and Jordan McGee are?
45 and 58. Dominique Hampton's 45, Jordan McGee's 58.
If Jordan McGee walked into my parents' house and smacked my mom in the face, I don't think it was Jordan. So I'm waiting to see it, but that's all. I keep hearing.
I'm getting locked in, I'm getting locked in right now. That's
hey, I can tell, man. There's a whole. I'm still meandering around waiting for football to start. Like you over here.
I'm locked in. Oh, listen, the Twitter's been going nuts. If you look at the District Divided stuff right now, we're all over the place, and we're asking for more guests also. So keep your eye out.
Twitter's been hard to deal with.
I found a way. There's so many like not interested in this post because X is constantly trying to flood you with bullshit. It works now. Like
it's work for me.
It's all football now. I got my personal account. Don't worry. If you want to check that out,
it is. I pull up Twitter and I see Commanders content.
Mm-hmm.
Then I see someone dying randomly. Maybe a crazy cat video. About 10 OnlyFans ads. And a bunch of political shit that makes me angry, which I guess is what's fueling the algorithm. So,
right,
America.
So the political shit and Arsenal stuff and stuff like that, that is on my personal one, which I check once in a blue moon. All the other stuff, like the District Divided one, if there's just an absolute dime piece on there, sorry, not interested in this post. You can throw it on my personal, but it's not going to be on this one. Same thing with the dog cat video, not interested. Trump says something, not interested. Like it is just so many not interested in this post. I'm disciplined on the District.
What I am considering is that whether or not either of us are brave enough at this moment, or maybe sometime soon, because we've been put on the spot if I were to do this, but if either of us would be willing to show our audience what our Instagram Explorer page looks like.
Oh yeah, mine is all golf videos.
No shit, mine's ass.
Let me see if I can.
It's ass and titties.
It's let's see. Yeah, this is what mine looks like. Just as a heads up. All right, here you go. See that? So it's Commanders, it's golf, it's the male body. There is a woman there. This is it. This is it.
Ass. Your boy has to keep resetting. I gotta keep Googling how to do it.
No, I think the algorithm was shocked because they did try and throw some ass on there, and I just kept scrolling past it to the golf videos.
No, it knows what it's doing.
Good job. They're trying. They want to keep you on there, and I was like, I appreciate it, but listen, if I can't hit this pitching wedge, I'm in trouble. So
I'm sorry,
not right
Instagram's for working ass.
We go over to Mask Collector 6949. Shout out. I miss the Brad Johnson and Steven Davis lineup. I was just talking about them earlier. Weird. Michael Westbrook was my favorite wide receiver for a long time. This stems from Big Papa Grizzly's question saying, who's a player you wish you could have seen more of back in the day for then named Washington Redskins or Commanders? It could be anybody. And so that's what that is. K-Dot, your reaction. Michael Westbrook, one of the first wide receivers I ever knew watching for the first time. Him and Terry Allen. Your reaction.
Terry Allen, 21, because he's always my favorite number.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if we've said Michael Westbrook and Steven Davis's name multiple times the last 2 weeks, and nobody wants to talk about the elephant in the room. There's a reason, like it didn't necessarily work out. It's still one of those what could have been, but that's where it goes down to. Anytime that we have these discussions about like the could have beens or what should have been, and maybe there is, and we just had, because of ownership, we never really had a legitimate shot. Maybe I believe there's some truth to that, but it's how much as much as I might give a damn on a personal level or even a labor versus management level. Lord knows when I said about 2 years ago on this pod that there are no exceptions to what it is that I think needs to happen as far as the future of this organization and this football team, and I care about a mission more than I care about anything else. I'm starting to realize the more I'm seeing everybody and the way they're reacting about the Terry McLaurin, how much I am an evangelist for this point.
Interesting. Well, there are plenty of comments on Terry, so we'll get more on that, of course, in a moment. MF Quotes goes, a player I wish I could have watched longer, Brandon Banks. He was electric. Yeah, dude, he had some awesome returns. He was sort of that Devin Hester light. Like, he was truly, to me, an excellent returner. We just did not see a whole lot of him. He did have a couple fumbles as well, which didn't help. But
he went to Canada. He had a pretty good run in Canada, I think. But
oh, I didn't know that.
I believe so. I may be mistaken on that. Yeah, man, there's just so many guys you look back to with fond memories. And like, I'll forever root for these dudes. I'll forever be grateful for them. I mean, the guy that I always go back to, and it's because I was able to have a very small personal relationship with him for a little bit, was Colt Brennan. And goddamn, did I want that to work. Do you know how many times I fired up Madden, immediately started Colt Brennan, and took my team to the Super Bowl? Like, I did that shit nonstop. That was some fun shit. And it's great all the years and memories you got over this fun shit, and then still looking back and be like, God damn, we were losers.
Yeah. That's fair. We go over to, we're beginning to get into Terry talk here. There are a number of comments on Terry. Okay.
Yep.
So here's Patriot Clips. Shout out. Quote from Terry this week. Terry McLaurin gonna do what he do. This ain't the Terry I know. Sounds more like a TO. Shocking. These agents will devour the best of them. We're gonna lose a great one for nonsense. That's the comment. I tried looking for that. Maybe it was in the 32-minute video and I just maybe subconsciously erased it because I was like, he wouldn't say that. I don't know. K-Dot, your reaction.
I don't recall him speaking in the third person about himself. It would bother me, as I was pretty high on Bo Nix until I heard him do that on the Ron Russillo.
By the way, number 64 in the NFL Top 100. You saw that?
I like Bo Nix.
over Jordan Love, over Dak Prescott. That's shocking. Over Frankie Louvu, over Bobby Wagner.
Brother, I cannot tell you how much I think Bo Nix is a dude that I gave completely up on because I heard him speak about himself in the third person. It was over for me. It's just, you got to reach a certain level in order to be able to do that. The only person, like, there are only a few people that I've seen be able to do it, and I'm like, all right, that's fine. Deion Sanders, okay, do your thing, that's fine, whatever. But unless you're like on the upper echelon, you just can't be doing that. But and I fucking hate Sean Payton. I can't stand Sean Payton. And yet, that's a feisty ass quarterback. And I don't know if you heard, but he said he spent like a week with Drew Brees this last offseason, just learning. Bo can throw that damn football. He's fun. The thing, I like chaos, man. And there are certain quarterbacks, as long as they're playing, we get some good chaos. That's why I can't wait for Jameis to start starting for New York. I love him. Bro.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Oh, I mean, they already named Russ the starter. But I would, this draft class, because we were talking about it. Remember when we did that top 6 QBs from the upcoming draft class?
Yep.
They all have the potential to be starters for a long time here. Like, it is interesting because you and I both had Bo Nix number 6, and he ended up having a really nice year. JJ McCarthy, I had at number 5. You had him higher up at number 3. Like, this is, and he's in a perfect system in Minnesota, right? Like, I'm flirting with the idea of them winning the division when we do our, predictions week, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Spoiler alert, that's my pick.
Go ahead. Well, but there's Drake May, who I'm high on. My sleeper team's the New England Patriots. Zype's team, New England Patriots. Penix, I love. And Caleb right now still throwing picks in practice, and offense is getting thrown off the field, but he could be something with Ben Johnson.
Once again, Chicago did that man dirty, and anyone else would have got done dirty if they went to Chicago.
It's just a fun button for me to keep pressing until he does.
It doesn't. It's fine. It's fine. The only button I'm worried about is JJ McCarthy. So that's it. That's the only thing you can bother.
I know, and I won't be able to touch that one for a bit.
You won't be able to until we see them play, and even when we see them play, he could suck for half the season.
By the way, Vikings Bears to begin. That's a Monday night game, week 1.
And JJ might lose that one, but I 100% will tell anyone that I was 100% wrong in picking anyone over Jayden Daniels for our team last year. No doubt, you get credit. The one thing I will give myself credit for is that I said that I thought that the difference between majority of these quarterbacks, I said all of them, but majority of the quarterbacks this last draft was pick your flavor. I really did have high hopes for a lot of these guys. Just why. When it came down to it, between Caleb, between Jayden, between JJ, I was sort of like, those top 3, give me any one of them. And then I went a tier down. But I still thought a tier down was I still thought you probably had starting quarterbacks in there. So, that draft was dope. And it's crazy how much I love that draft compared to how much I know I fucking hated this draft. And
right.
The only thing that gave me any sort of pause in the last 2 years is me hearing last week that Cleveland contemplated taking JJ number 1, which did not make me feel good. It made me feel worse.
Oh boy. Yeah, that would have been something for sure. But yeah, it's a promising class from last year, and they all have the potential to be good this year. All of them. It's exciting.
I still don't think Caleb, but that's me.
You still don't think Caleb will have a good year?
Yeah, I told you guys, I like Caleb. I like Caleb a lot. Yeah. And I still do think Caleb looks different on a Dan Quinn-led team with a Cliff Kingsbury than he does with whatever the fuck it is they were trying to do in Chicago. I told you guys, I thought Chicago, because of who they are, were a death knell.
Sure.
And I don't like, and I have no faith in Ben Johnson.
So I think, opening this back up for a moment, talking about this, I think there is a degree of arrogance with Caleb that would have put a ceiling on what he did even here. Right. So there is where he's like, I appreciate the coaching, but this is me. Like, I am doing this element of it. And that's the part that needs to be, frankly, coached out or at least negotiated. Ben Johnson, I think, will end up doing a good job of it. There will be some growing pains at first. He needs to play on schedule. It's a less of the creative stuff that really gets him going and makes him who he is, like in terms of special talent. It is very much, please hit this receiver. If he's able to do that early on, Bears could be a serious problem this year, right? It's a talented team. But I think his arrogance, it's not his talent. I think it's his arrogance that's holding him back right now. Truthfully.
Yeah, see, and I know that you've always leaned on the intangibles with Caleb being something you didn't necessarily like. I just think he's of a different cloth and one of these guys that didn't. I do think he is the true epitome of the newer generations of people that exist in the country, right? For better or for worse. And trust me, there's a lot of worse. I used to have more faith than I do now. But
sure.
I still think when it comes down to it, and you talk about arrogance, you talk about all sorts of stuff. Arrogance to me is nowhere near an issue for a player as long as it's honed properly. And the thing to me, as far from a honed properly standpoint, is that when I looked at the Chicago Bears team and who it is that they had at coach and at offense coordinator and in that locker room, I didn't see anyone that was going to be able to get through to Caleb the way you need to get through to Caleb. I just think that do I think that Caleb acts as a different human being if Raheem Morris is his coach? Yes. Do I think that Caleb is a different human being if Mike Tomlin is his coach, if Mike Vrabel is his head coach, if Dan Quinn is his head coach? Yes. The issue that Chicago had was that they thought they could just do things. And because he's the number one quarterback, it's supposed to work. And if you look at it, I've been saying from the very get-go when it came to Chicago, I don't understand this team. Like, I didn't understand the team.
Yeah, no, I think that his coaching was bad last year. I don't think he did himself any favors. That's
100%.
That's where I'm at with that.
But what I posit to you is, look, there's no Jayden Daniels was the best quarterback in that draft. Period. There's no argument about it.
Right.
Somebody else came to Washington with the ceiling like it wouldn't be what Jay did. Period. Point blank. And what does Jayden look like on the Chicago team? Is it better than what happened with Caleb? I assume so.
Oh, definitely.
Daniels, but
definitely.
I'm not going that far yet.
No, because because he can make any system work. Just because of how he works. That's the thing.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever. I think the Chicago point that I'm trying to make when it comes to Jayden is one of the what was your number one offseason move that going into this offseason?
For the Commanders.
For the Commanders to do.
Laramie Tunsil.
No, I'm sorry. Going into this offseason, before anything happened.
Oh.
What was your number one priority?
It was building the offensive line.
Well, I thought maybe, but I remember really high up there was Bobby Wagner. And
in terms of bringing people back. Sorry, I was thinking about what
I was just saying anything. My bad.
Bobby, yes. Bobby, head and shoulders above everybody
I should have clarified.
Yeah, Bobby.
And your second most important person you'd probably want in the locker room is the guy that's not there right now, which is Terry McLaurin. And why do you want those two guys? Because of what it does to help from a leadership perspective when it comes to the team and what happens with all that, right? If Jayden Daniels does not have a Bobby Wagner and a Terry McLaurin and a Dan Quinn in that locker room last year, I'm not denying Jayden won't be great. But what I am saying is the rest of the team ain't going to be that good. There is an element of like how much everything comes with you. Cam Newton, I'd say, is more arrogant than Caleb Williams could ever dream to be. I think Tom Brady is more arrogant than Caleb Williams could ever dream to be. I think there's an arrogance level when it comes to certain guys, and it's just how it is that what do you do to formulate it, right? It's the same way that, like, I love Anthony Edwards. My favorite video, I know you love Anthony Edwards. What do we love from Anthony Edwards? When he told Barack Obama, watch your fucking mouth because I'm Anthony Edwards. Like, you want that.
But he backed it up. Like, I didn't even see it when we were doing all the film stuff with the USC. I was like, I'm not seeing enough to warrant this arrogance.
But that's the thing that's weird about college football, and it's weird about the quarterback position too, is that you can be an all-timer. Don't mean that shit going. It doesn't mean that team is going to be worth a damn. And like the USC team was fucking trash. And like the thing that you were looking at with the USC team is that he was trying to every week that he was playing was how the fuck. What are they doing?
K-Dot, what I'm saying is off of his fundamentals, the way he was playing QB, married to his arrogance. I was like, oh my god, like number four. I can't go. Like that was my thing.
Me and you might disagree on that, but I still think I think the place that we can probably find some common ground on is when you're talking about a young quarterback in the league. I don't put a lot on them in the sense of anything as much as I put a lot on the coaching, and I put a lot on the situation they're going to be in to help foster or cultivate something good. And I think when I look at Chicago and what it is they were trying to do, I didn't see a game plan for any of that. In Washington, what did I see? I saw them try to make sure they went after veterans, made sure they got a coach that they knew could communicate, which is important on my list, important on your list, right? They got all those pieces. What did they do in Chicago? Brought a dude that nobody had any faith in back into the locker room after they had just had a mutiny about the other quarterback, which was Justin Fields, that was there, and there was still half a locker room that still loved that guy. And then what did they do? They told everybody to shut the fuck up. We're bringing it back. We're just running it back with the rookie. And it's like, what? It didn't make sense. Like, you had somebody, and then what do we all know? What I'd say about anybody that ended up in Chicago, what you have to put the caveat on is they will have a second offense coordinator in the second year. And what the fuck is going to happen? And then when that happens, you're already starting at such a loss. How special a quarterback do you have to be? And I haven't done this exercise. I don't know if you've known this off. How many quarterbacks go into their second offense coordinator or something?
Sorry, you froze again, so it was a bit difficult to catch. Can you repeat the question, please? Once you're back.
Whatever the fuck the name of this university is right now, and a shitty Wi-Fi. Yeah, I'm on a college campus. Judge me, asshole. How many quarterbacks go into their second offense coordinator in their second year and end up worth a damn?
off the top of my head, Baker Mayfield did it. And he was solid, I'd say. Let's
Except
see.
everybody had thrown him out a goddamn window before he reconciled his career.
No, that's fair. Yeah, I would, off the top of my head, it's difficult.
And that's what I'm saying. Is it like and that's where me and you have always had the discussion as far as like, what do I think teams need when it comes to a quarterback, and what I think they need to do to prepare a quarterback.
Oh,
otherwise,
Jared Goff. That's another one. Because he had Jeff Fisher, immediately gets Sean McVay, bang. Like all of a sudden it works well. Then he goes to Detroit.
And look, if people believe in Ben Johnson, this is a good opportunity for Caleb. I just happen not to believe in Ben Johnson.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And based on a leadership standpoint, we will absolutely see on Ben Johnson, right? Like there's some head coach Josh McDaniels vibes to him. Could be an elite offensive coordinator, maybe not the best leader. They're already doing up downs. He's already thrown out the first team offense on day one. We'll see if that authoritarian style works for them. Plenty more comments here. We got caught up in some draft talk from last year, so appreciate you guys sticking with us. As we go to, let's go to Mike Hughes. Shout out Mike Hughes. There are a ton of guys who had productive seasons at age 32 and 33. 15 to 20 all time who had productive seasons after the age of 33. That's one comment from Mike Hughes. And here are a couple more. I'll just read all of them, and then we can react to Mike's overall thing. Okay. Can someone explain how Garrett Wilson has anything to do with Terry? He is 24 and still on his rookie deal. The $32 million per year does not kick in for 2 more years. It irritates me when people bring him up when talking about Terry. That's 2. And here's the final one. No one knows what Terry wants and what the team is offering. 3 years at 32 to 34 per season seems fair. Slightly front-loaded deal, so he is making less when he is older. And so that 32 to 34 is what Lake Lewis, who's a reporter, is speculating is what Terry wants. We don't truly know what Terry wants, but we do have a sense. Jeremy Fowler seems to be like crushing it with this story so far. I do believe that 25 number. I think it even makes logical sense as well. So, K-Dot, your reaction to those? There's the Garrett Wilson connection to Terry McLaurin. Players over the age of 33 being able to ball out, or at 32 and 33 balling out, and the 32 to 34 per year with Terry McLaurin. Go ahead.
Yes, as Amit proved, there's tons of cases of wide receivers over the age of 32 that can still accomplish it in the league. The reason Garrett Wilson is of relevance is he's a wide receiver that got paid this offseason. How it is you want to draw the main comparison between Garrett Wilson and Terry McLaurin is there's not a lot of good comps, which is why there's not a good number you can base anything off of with it. That's the reason we bring it up in the first place. No, we have no idea what it is that each side is saying. I do think it is more likely than not that we are hearing a whole hell of a lot more from what Terry wants than what it is the team is. Because I mean, another thing, a nugget from the Adam Peters thing. How many times they said that Bobby Wagner met with them?
Oh, I don't recall.
Yeah, they were saying that Bobby met with them. There were talks, and I still stand. Surprised me. So, like, at the end of the day, they've still been doing a great job as far as that shit goes, right?
Oh, you're talking about
the
Vaughn.
only thing Oh, sorry, Vaughn.
Okay. Oh, yes, I heard that. Yes,
No,
I was
no,
like,
Vaughn.
Bobby.
Sorry,
I was like,
Vaughn.
is Bobby involved in the
Vaughn.
negotiation the whole time? Okay.
Sorry, got Hall of Fame linebackers on the brain.
So cool. I could please continue.
Vaughn, times they were talking to Vaughn, the conversation went on for weeks with Vaughn, and we didn't find out a goddamn thing until he was signed and like in the door. That to me is the side that I'm saying that I just don't think we're hearing anything from their side, which is why I still find that there's some faith in this happening. I just think one side is very, very butthurt. This goes back to the other comment. It's like I understand it. I'm looking at it from a fan perspective. Lord knows what it was like being in that goddamn building, and it's my question, what you deserve. Wait, were you kidding me? I get it from all sides.
Yeah, and after the year we just had, right? Like after wearing the C on your chest as a wide receiver,
yep,
not many wide receivers earn that, and he earns it. So like, there we go. A couple more from Mass Collector. Shout out Mass Collector, back to him or her. Terry's the best contested catcher in the league. You have to bring up Hall of Famers like Fitzgerald or Megatron to compare it to what Terry's been doing. After 13 touchdowns and franchise records, it's not unreasonable to project a Hall of Fame career. That's one. And the other, it's reasonable for Terry to expect a contract a year before as the franchise wide receiver one. Not doing it this year would be GM malpractice. He's somebody who would play up to a contract too. So a couple of comments there before we get into two different people's thoughts on the Terry presser and on opposite sides of it. So K-Dot, your reaction over here.
I mean, not anything different than what it is we've kind of talked about before when it comes to all this, but it's just, if it's true, to want a $12 million a year increase on your third contract's a lot. Like, if that's the number, it's a lot. Is he worth it? Probably. And it's all bullshit because the salary cap is not giving anybody any sort of fair.
It keeps raising as well. Yeah.
Right. It's I've talked about ad nauseum about how an American it is. But do you think Cincinnati's a Super Bowl contender?
No.
Why?
Because their defense is horrible.
Right now, they are trying to figure out how to pay Trey Hendrickson, right? This is a team that was in the Super Bowl not that long ago and haven't really sniffed it. So but you know what they do have? They have Joe Burrow, they got Jamar Chase, and they got T. Higgins, and they can't pay another goddamn soul on that fucking team. So there's nothing bigger than the mission.
So, but I think you and I both agreed it was a mistake to pay T, right? And if you had to pick one or the other, you're paying Trey. You've already paid Jamar.
Well, that's the other thing that's the hard part with Trey is I like Trey Hendrickson, even though he looks like an accountant, but there's also his age and his production over the years. And there's also last year was a really weird year. And there's also an angle of, I know what he's doing as far as a pass rush specialist. His run numbers are not that great. And the pass rush aspect of it, when it came to Cincinnati throwing the football as much as they did, the amount of passing opportunities that he had to go at as far as defense created a volume uptick. So there is an element that look, I'll never be on the Cincinnati Bengals side as far as anything.
Yeah,
I hate
same
the
here.
Management side, no doubt. I think the Trey Hendrickson thing is a situation in which they don't want to overpay for this guy because there is a likelihood that Trey Hendrickson will not get back to the guy he was even last year from a production standpoint. So I get a hesitation. But the bigger point, fundamental thing for me is that because they did what they did with T, which is what we agree with, they can't do the Trey Hendrickson thing, which would probably be in their best benefit as far as going forward. But they had Trey Hendrickson last year. So at the end of the day, for me, it's like a situation where you have to build the team. And look, there is nobody bigger than the team. As much as I love Terry McLaurin, there's no one bigger than the team, period. And once again, I don't think what Terry's asking for makes it seem as though he wants something bigger than the team. But you're also in a situation where you see what it is we've done to build this roster over the last 2 years. We did not have a lot of draft picks this last year, 5 out of the 7 rounds. And then before then, you look at what we did with the 1-year contracts when it came to veterans last year, the 1-year contracts that we're doing veterans that came in this year, the fact that you just added Laramie Tunsil, the fact that you just added Deebo Samuel, the fact that you got Marshon Lattimore already in the building, the fact that you have all these guys means what the team is doing is being very, very particular about where it is that they're going to put their money going forward because they don't want to hamstring themselves. Because this roster made it to the NFC Championship last year with a whole lot of salary cap space. But I'll tell you right now, if you fuck it up, if you do it wrong, if you pay the wrong guys instead of saving your money for what it is that you do need to have somebody that's going to be crucial to the run you're on, I don't know. And I don't know if I can look at any wide receiver, even if it was Justin Jefferson, and say that he's bigger than anything that's going on with the team if I think I can make it up another way. It's just what it kind of boils down to. It just sucks.
And to put it in perspective, right? K-Dot's talking about being hamstrung as a franchise after this, just to provide pure objectivity, right? Which is that Terry is off the books next year. So when we look at the cap number for the Washington Commanders, it's at around $77 million, right? If he ends up eating 20 something of that, now you're down to your 50s, right? Deron Payne's due, Deebo Samuel's due, right? Like there will be other people that need to be reworked. And a lot of 1-year deals that are off the books. You need to fill the roster. So I can understand the team perspective. Once again, I completely understand the team perspective. but I also think it's okay to pay a player on offense. And so that's where I'm at with him, because I do think he's great. The comparisons to Megatron, by the way, in particular, he did fulfill like the requirements of the data set, except I had to throw him out because he was literally 6'5", 230. And I was like, people just aren't built like that. And also he retired after one more year. So I didn't get a 3-year runway. His next year, though, oh my God, this man retired at the top. Same thing with Barry Sanders. Like, he was so good. But I wouldn't, just because of the height thing, I wouldn't put him in the same thing. Same thing with Fitz. But I was very particular with that data set that I did.
You did a great job, man.
No, I appreciate it. We go to Ade Smith. This is an interesting one, kid. I think you will like it because it is against the grain with you.
Bro, my girlfriend is drinking water right now. She looks like she wants to murder somebody. This is boring the shit out of her, and I kind of want to drag it on just because of it.
And
she looks miserable.
Ade Smith, shout out, goes, I might be in the minority here, but
yes, I was talking about you on the podcast.
You can hear that in the background too. I might be in the minority here, but emotion and wrong energy do not win Super Bowls. This rant about not being valued and being disrespected could not be further from the truth. Sam Cosmi was paid last year with no nonsense, no holdout. Terry could have done the same. I don't even think it's money issue, but this is front office is thinking now that we are here with a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. How do we instantly add to the roster, even via a trade, to make sure that we get to the Super Bowl this year and not have the walloping we got from the Eagles? They know they'll sign Terry, and they're their own time. They've got their own timeline, but Terry's on his own. So Terry came across a little selfish, came across a little selfish. These actions and comments under previous regimes, I will support. But with this new group, we don't want any disgruntled player in the locker room. And I'm sorry, but Terry got it wrong. And he's not even going to be here in 3 to 4 years when JD5's contract is due. And I hope the other players don't think that we don't like to pay our own. Heart peace emoji. K. Your reaction. Go ahead.
I don't want to stand in the way of people trying to get their money. Okay. Salary cap's bullshit, un-American. You've heard me say that before, but I don't blame Adam Peters for it. He's trying to deal within the system that exists within the league. I blame ownership. I blame the league. I don't blame Adam Peters. Adam Peters has a job to do. He's getting paid handsomely to do it, which is he's got to build the best football team he possibly can within a certain limited amount of space and do what he's saying. I like the job that Adam Peters has done. I think he's done a damn good job and done due diligence. We were in the NFC Championship game last year. I Lord knows I can't. He was the decider in all these factors as far as who it is get brought in. I will not understand Terry feeling disrespected necessarily by this particular organization because, number one, I wouldn't say the organization, between this particular regime. They didn't pick you, number one. Number two, you already did get a contract extension. They're under no obligation to do anything beyond that. And you've only been with this crew for 1 year. There are conversations. You might feel a certain way that didn't talk to you, but I don't think that is out of the realm of what's normal when it comes to these sort of situations at all. When I look across the league and majority of what the players talk about when it comes to this too, the teams that talk to you throughout the entire thing might be nice, but they're also not fucking winners. And that's what I kind of worry about when it comes to this. And yeah, there's a right way to go about it, but if I'm looking at the right way to go about it, I think it's the way the organization is kind of running right now. We look at the duality between what it is we had before and what it is we have now. So I'm not trying to, and trust me, and it's like I'm afraid to sound ungrateful or something about this bullshit. Like I'm not doing that, but I do think that the way I look at it in the sense of, and I tried to do this last week as far as like trying to get as far on Terry's side as I could possibly be, because I don't necessarily agree with what he's doing, is that I do think some of these upper echelon athletes do have to have a chip on their shoulder of some sort. And I do think that this kind of falls in that territory. The only reason I don't like it is that I don't think this is a place right now that you need to do that or make a show or try to do the PR move when you guys haven't talked. And at the end of the day, if you can pick up a phone, I didn't hear that Terry said his agents had picked up the phone to call Washington and there wasn't anybody talking. What I'm hearing from Washington is, we got you under contract. We know you want more money, but we're going to negotiate that. And there's a conversation that needs to happen with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. But you're under contract. So we're not under any obligation to do anything beyond that. Once again, we didn't pick you. So for him to feel disrespected by this front office would literally be because they haven't talked on a level at which he thinks that they should. And I think it always takes two to tango as far as the communications game. So I never really take one side tremendously above the other, when it seems to me, at least from what I'm looking at, both sides are at fault as far as the lack of communication,
Sure.
which I'm once again okay with from a business perspective, from a negotiating business tactic perspective. And I think it's more in line when you start looking around the league that this is kind of the way it goes. We hear about hold-ins or holdouts all the time, and majority of the time they end up going without a fucking hitch. I think this piece is because of how much the fans care about Terry, how much Terry has sacrificed for this team.
Yes.
And I also think that it's because of those things, I think it is coloring a lot of the fan base to not criticize him. And I do think you feel icky criticizing a player and being on the side of a team or an organization. And I think this particular situation itself, I don't think a lot of sides have made mistakes. I just think that Terry raised the stakes on this situation just a bit more than they might necessarily need to have been.
But I think that does speak to him feeling the disrespect, right? To hold out, now it's $50K a day for each one that he misses. And with the way the CBA is organized, you don't make up for it, right?
No.
Like they can't forgive that anymore. So that is money lost, which is why I think it means a lot to him. Let me also say, I don't know how this was handled up until Terry's presser and even before. Like, was his agent talking to Adam Peters about an extension in the middle of last year, right? For example, were they already reaching out being like, hey, this is something that's definitely on our mind, just a heads up? Like, I don't know about all that stuff. I would hope so, but maybe not. Maybe all of a sudden in June, whoop, by the way, we want an extension and we will hold out. Like, I don't know all that stuff. What I do know is that Terry was on a 3-year 68, is on a 3-year 68, which is just south of 23 mil, right? So if the team came back with 25, and I view myself as an elite wide receiver, and I'm being Terry, and they are now, like, I'm thinking 34, or I'm thinking DK's number, makes sense. We're the same class here, draft class here, 33. And they come back with 25. Yeah, it's less about the money now and more about what you think of me, which is reflected by that value. I want you to view me as an elite wide receiver. 1,300 yards, 16 touchdowns when you include the playoffs. And we're talking about 25 a year. Like that is, I think, where the disrespect comes from. K-Dot, you make excellent points. Terry was not taken by these guys. It's only been 1 year. Adam Peters, I think up until now, and even through now, right, as he navigates through this, is doing a fantastic job with this team. But I get both sides. I lend myself more to Terry's side, not just because he's a fan favorite, but because I think he truly has earned it. I think he will continue to produce, because I do believe in that only 6 years in the league thing. Like, I really do believe in that. If I didn't, I'm probably singing a different tune, even though I would hate it. Right. But having seen what I saw, at least in the data grouping he was in, I'm like, okay, no, the guy's going to perform. Like, I really think he's going to perform. So we'll see what happens. That's one side of it. And here is the other from Bet Boy Tony C. Shout out. I'm like you, Amit. I got a little emotional hearing Terry talk about the way he feels about all of this. I'm sure that the front office will do right by him, but I get where Terry is coming from. He doesn't have some of the qualities that Jamar Chase has, but he gets 100% out of the abilities that he does have, and we all love him for it. I was lucky enough to attend Art Monk's football camp here in the area when I was 11. Wow. I saw him at an IHOP 4 years later, and he remembered my name. Art Monk has always been all class, and Terry is the closest thing to number 81 that we will see around here in our lifetimes. That shit means a lot, y'all. Get that shit done, Peters. And oh yeah, share this shit, bitches. That's the comment from Bet Boy Tony C. The Art Monk story is super cool. Once again, his jersey is going to be retired on Sunday Night Football. I believe it's against Seattle. K-Dot, your reaction to that comment?
I was going to get in trouble if I speak about certain things too much. That brought up a thought. I'm going to pass. I appreciate the comment, though. I'm going to have to pass.
Okay.
My brain went somewhere that's not okay.
Fair enough. And I just, again, to clarify my argument, it's not only Terry, what he means to the franchise, what he's done so far. I am a big believer in his future, right? I'm not just going to pay somebody for just what they did on the past. Like, that's just not where I'm at. This isn't a pity pay. Like, I think he's worth this money. And yeah. So I'm just including.
Well, after the rookie extension that DK and Terry both in 2022 signed extensions, 3 years each. Terry's was 68, DK's was 72.
I can check. Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So now DK gets 4 years, 100 and whatever, 132, but he's 2 years younger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always been the case. And he's always had more physical attributes than Terry is. And I've always I don't prefer the guy with the physical attributes as much as I prefer the guy with the heart. But the physical attributes also go into who's been playing quarterback, who's throwing you the football, who's capable of throwing you the football, who does this, who does that. It's just a lot of shit.
It was also via trade. That's probably something the team's arguing too, by the way. He wasn't paid by his new team. Hey, they traded. They knew they were going to overpay to get him.
Right.
So, like that's probably part of it.
And they also were paying it probably a premium to get rid of George Pickens to make it happen. So, like, there is an element of it's just not the same situation. The reason I think the comparisons work is just to show how different the situations are and why they can't necessarily be compared. I want Terry to get everything he possibly can get. But like, if I'm looking at the way the contracts themselves have been sped out, do I think $25 million is a slap in the face? I'm not going to go as far as slap in the face, but I do think they need to be up north of that. And I still think if we're talking about open negotiations, you are never be the guy that says the bigger number just because you want to save face or have somebody feel a certain way about it. Negotiate. That's why you have agents. Terry shouldn't feel any sort of way because he has agents. But if he's feeling some sort of way based on lack of communication or based on they offered $25 million, sir, based on what you've told us, you guys have not been communicating this offseason. And you guys are far apart. This is what happens. It's part of the process. You do not need to feel hurt necessarily about it.
According to Fowler on the Junkies, an offer has not been made. They're currently discussing numbers right now.
Yeah,
so
terms. That's
terms.
fair. Right.
Yeah. And so I think by now, he was probably hoping, that there was some sort of offer made.
But that's if you're Washington, and I know you understand their perspective, but let's just say, just from the sake of negotiation standpoint, if Terry's camp immediately this last offseason said, all right, well, we want $35 million per year. What do you do with that? What do you do in that conversation?
Right. And I'm the team.
Yeah.
I do probably what the team did, which is like, hey, take some time to cool off. We're not getting there. We'll talk again sooner, but like really think about what you're asking for here. That's what I'm doing, because I also know, as Adam Peters, this is not just a negotiation with Terry McLaurin. At least the way I'm thinking about this team, it is a ghost negotiation with Deebo Samuel, right? Like it is. And if I give Terry, right? What'd you say?
And everybody else,
but then I'm turning into the Bengals, right? Like if I just give Terry 3 years, 35 per, so it's what, 3,105. Oh, okay. Well, if Deebo asks for 32, let's say Deebo has enough self-awareness. Hey, I just got here. I had a nice year. I've proven I can do something. You gave Terry 35. He's wide receiver 1. That's fine. I'll go 3 years, 32. Shit. Right? Like that's what's going through my head if I'm Adam. So that's why I understand the 25, because he wants it all. That's a GM's job, to want it all, to get as many of these guys under contract, nice contracts, as possible. He's trying to expedite this whole thing. And in doing so, he is lowballing. It is a lowball offer. He is lowballing current wide receiver 1.
And I do think that there is a legit argument to make, even though we might disagree on where it happens. I do think, and I can see an absolute scenario, even if Terry's here and Terry gets $38 million a year, that Deebo Samuel ends up having a more productive season in the sense of what it meant for the team with us because of the style of player that he is and what it is that Cliff Kingsbury Charles fans. So that's my thing. Is it like, I look at the situation where it's like, I get it. I get all of it. I am not usually on the team side in this shit unless there's a player just being a fucking asshole. I get it. I get it. I just get it.
It's a complex negotiation. I have it weeks. Kata, if you had to, because you got my time frame, I now think September, just to be clear. Like, I think this is actually going through August because I think they're too far apart. And I think Terry will, if he's asking for 33.1, I think at minimum it has to hit that 30 mark. I'm not sure the team gets there. That's why September. If you had to pick a ballpark date or range, where would you go? As of now, it's fluid.
Yeah. I've been trying to stay away from the date prediction just because, like, I'm telling you, once Terry admitted what he did in that presser last week at the Eastern Motors thing, it changed a lot of things for me. It made me more hopeful, but in that same sense that I'm more hopeful, the more I kind of think it's a toss-up. If they haven't been talking and now you're talking, Lord knows what happens with the discussion. Like, who knows what happens when it comes to communicating? Because anything can happen once you start talking. You might end up saying that, like, all right, we might not be able to get there for you where you want to on the years, but how about your guarantees? You want that? Like, how you feel about guarantees going into probably your last substantial contract? Like, there is room to talk through some of this shit. So, like, when that's always the case, you have no idea. Like, if you go from not talking to talking, things can happen overnight. Things can happen very slow and long. Like, the fact that Terry's in Virginia, the fact he's there's probably some part of Washington being like, well, fuck, let's press him just a little bit to see whether or not he is willing to fucking do the $50,000 thing. Like, let's see, let's get the first stories come out of training camp that Jalen Lane's looking good, that Brooks had 3 touchdowns to see.
Right.
All right, motherfucker, do you miss this shit or are we moving on? Because it is what it is. So, like, there's got to be a little posturing that happens right now. So, like, do I expect to happen in a week or two? No. I'm still like, if you put a gun to my head, I'd say around the last preseason game, a week either or in the one direction or the other from the last.
Okay, that's going a while there. That's going a while.
It's a while, but I swear to God, if by the time this episode comes out on Friday, they were to say, "Hey, Terry's back," they're close. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I would be stunned. I, by the way, want to be so wrong about this. Like, it's not even funny. My feel, based on what I think I know, I would be floored. We go to Roger.
Also, do you think Adam Peters is acting at all in that presser? Like, he's aware that everybody's watching him and this is what we're talking about, so maybe I need to act a little more dejected than me?
He looked nervous. Like, that's
I get nervous.
Oh, he looked nervous. Like, to me, it was, I'm not going over the top nervous, but that was not cool Adam Peters like I'm used to.
No, he's because Dan Quinn stared daggers in that man. Like, they are not. Dan just
look. I've had the gauntlet of conversations with my managers, glowing reviews to the little sigh before. That was a sigh. So I had a flashback. I was like, oh boy, this isn't a good spot. Like, this is not in a good spot.
But you've been in management before. You've had to fake it. You had to pretend that maybe you're
I don't think Adam Peters has an IMDb page and he's suddenly doing this. Like, I just don't think that's in the wheelhouse.
I just think part of being a good GM is being a good GM is acting.
Yeah, and he did a great job acting when he paused for 20 seconds when asked about the roster in his intro presser. And then everyone's gone, So, like,
valid point.
I'm just saying. And he was right about that, just to be clear. But that's these guys sort of, they tell you pretty easily. Same thing with Dan Quinn. Game changer in reference to Jayden. The hug. It was clear as day he wanted Jayden. Took Jayden.
You know what? I'm going to try this. And so share this. If you made it this far on the podcast.
Yeah. First off, shout out. You get a cookie. Go ahead.
I'm going to spam every Terry account until we get him on the pod.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to start World War III here on Dish Divided between Terry and the team.
I'm in.
So, Terry, you think he's a bitch, right, Adam Peters?
Yeah. We'll see how good he answers. I'll be like, dude, just for the PR alone, this man should be hired.
If I can just get him to laugh. If I can laugh at that, it's over.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, we'll get AP and Terry on at the same time.
All right, one more. I know we need to. I know I'm meandering a bunch.
We got 2 more, so you're good. Go ahead.
I saw this floated. I'm just saying straight up.
God damn it. Go ahead.
I know we shouldn't be playing this game, but I'm playing this game. In division, Michael Parsons, Terry McLaurin. You doing it?
That's wild.
Are you doing it?
Oh my gosh. I
yes,
think
just say yes.
Hold on. I want to preface by saying from a religious perspective, the answer is no. The Washington Dallas 1-for-1 trade's insane. Micah would be incredible on this team. And they would be CD, George, and Terry. Can't pay all three. We maybe get Terry back after 1 year. I mean, you talk about a yo-yo. That would be something, because we would pay Micah. Micah would love to come here.
Here's what I will say. Micah, you were disrespected by your captain.
He actually was legitimately disrespected. And he's looking both ways when he crosses the street. Lord knows if a car hit him, that he wouldn't be worth the money.
Terry resharing tweets and stuff. I'm like, hold on. This
he
ain't
liked
Micah
it. It's
Parsons.
very different. It's very different.
Fine. I get. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're 100% right. I don't need to go and watching social media thing is stupid. But when I see disrespect, there's one that's clearly in that category.
Yeah, one went on the podium and knew it was going to be a national hit and said what he said.
Damn.
He alienated the whole team. He called out other players he had paid and was like, "You think that was worth it? I should have waited." Like, that was insane.
I'm saying, that Cowboys team could win 14 games. They could win 2, and I would not be surprised either way.
Kevin Clark actually said about it. Back good with Mina. Kevin's got some work to do. But Kevin goes, if you offered Jerry Jones 3 straight Super Bowls, but he could not speak to the media once during those 3 years, he would turn it down. He would turn it down. He's right. He's right. It is much more about having fun at the press conferences than it is winning games. 2 more comments here as we have 14 minutes to take care of them. Roger Jessen goes, I said that AP and DQ had something up their sleeves as to get an edge rusher before they take care of scary Terry. So they got Von Miller, and now Terry gets his deal. Now they can pay him fat. So I know he's getting paid heavily for himself. People just need to be patient. So I guess Roger's saying, hey, we wanted to make sure we paid Vaughn first. Once we pay Vaughn, now we can go ahead and take care of Terry McLaurin. I'm going to push back a little there because Vaughn only affects this year's cap. Terry's new deal does not touch this year's cap. From an energy perspective, okay, we're focused on Von Miller right now. We're not talking to Terry. I get that in terms of your time resource. Okay, you're working on Von Miller. You're trying to convince him to come here. I don't think it takes too long each day and that you can't speak to Terry in the meanwhile. So I don't think this was a master plan. I think these were 2 things running in parallel, and one does not affect the other. K-Dot, your reaction.
I agree. And I also, as I've been saying, I think Bobby chose us, not the other way around.
Vaughn.
God damn it. I'm just going to start calling them both Luke Kuechly. So Ray Lewis signed with us. It's a little less murdery.
That'll be a good bit. You just keep naming legendary linebackers. Patrick Willis is
Mike
just
Singletary's motherfucker. He's going to be great.
Wow. There's a pull. Brian Urlacher. What about Ron Rivera?
Zach Thomas. It's going to be awesome.
Zach Thomas.
Now, I'm with you. They ran parallel, and I do think, especially after hearing Vaughn talk.
Wow, that was close up.
Really messed it up. I don't know what's going on. They're the same person for some reason to me, and they're not. They're so not the same person. Vaughn, I think, chose us. I think as he said, he looked around. It was the quarterback. One quarterback was better than the other quarterbacks. And as he said, if you're going to leave Josh Allen, you better go to somebody good. And that's how he chose. That's it. That's all I think it is.
We conclude with Coach Lombard. Shout out. No Terry talk here. Moving on. Okay.
Right, what does Coach got to say about AJ Brown?
Yeah, honestly. Witt was the number 5 blitzer last season, in part because he knew he had to, and in part because blitzing is the main skill set for Wagner, Luvu, and maybe even Jordan McGee. Dominic Hampton and Kane Medrano are likely coverage specialists, though both can blitz. Luvu is mostly an off-ball linebacker. He plays edge on-ball linebacker in dime, but plays inside linebacker in base and nickel. I still question Washington's run defense and Washington's pass coverage. Washington is a great blitzing team. We'll see how it goes this season. And so that's what Coach had to say. Now, Washington, just as a quick reminder, I'm doing this off the top of my head, so if I'm off by a couple ranks, I apologize. 3rd best pass defense in the NFL, believe it or not, last season, because they were 30th against the run last year. So why throw when you can just hand the ball off and great things are happening, right? So defense needs some improvement. I know that I'll speak for myself. I'm of the belief that getting in those bigger guys on the line should help. Setting the edge should help, which is, I think, a very big part of the focus in terms of stopping the run. But we'll see. I mean, coach has a point until we see it. Like, we are in wait and see mode, but lots of reason for optimism. K-Dot, your reaction.
I love when the very obvious thing gets said. Yes, we're in wait and see mode. And if they score more points than the other team, they win the game. When I was watching the All-22 last year, Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu and what they were able to do with their crossing stunt shit to go and try to figure out basically an option at middle linebacker to figure out who's blitzing the quarterback or who is going to do anything at any given point in time. It was effective in the sense of what it was doing as far as bringing the rush. It was the most effective move that they had last year defensively, period. It towers over anything that was happening, even with Deron Payne at Elephant End. It's the singular thing that worked better than any other thing this last season. That being said, we talked about, and I think Coach was the one that asked us before last season, what did we think was going to happen with the Dan Quinn, Joe Witt defense? We're going to see a lot more zone. We're going to see a lot more man, this, that, and the other. I remember my answer was, I think it's going to start one way and it'll eventually turn to something else. And what you saw last year with the blitzing, with what it is they had to do, zone versus man, they were not playing defense the way they want to. This is not the way that they want to necessarily even play defense as much as they needed talent to fill out certain roles a bit better.
Which DQ even said, we don't have the pieces here yet. We said that.
Right. And you could see it with Joe Witt. Every once in a while, you watch the games where you see certain packages that they wanted to try or play with, and then immediately getting burnt early on the season. Lord, either St. Jude's or Forbes, any of them just getting fucking lit up, and they had to go to move into something else. So, like, I think that what you've seen with the Dan Quinn defense in Dallas, in Seattle, in Atlanta, even to a lesser degree, is something you're going to see here eventually. You're going to see us moving into more of that. We just need pieces, man. We're 2 years into a recalibration that's truly a fucking rebuild. We were in the NFC Championship game, and we're still adding a ton of pieces. No one knows what it's going to look like right now because we're not entirely sure where we're at with.
Yeah, I completely agree, K-Dot. There's still, to me, another offseason of additions that need to be made. I'm excited for the current set of additions that we have and retention as well, going all the way back to your most important thing of the offseason. Re-sign Bobby Wagner is what I wanted, right? So It's great to have him back, and it's great to have some of these new pieces in place. Once again, people that are getting good reports right now, Marshon Lattimore, Trey Amos. So now we're talking about the secondary in that pass defense. And so we will go ahead and see, as always. This was the show. This was District Divided, a DC sports podcast, more specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode where we talked in depth about the Terry McLaurin situation. I don't anticipate doing it every single week unless like brand new information comes out, because that was this is as much information as we're getting for right now. And now we sort of wait. And then we were talking about training camp. So a lot more training camp coverage as we continue. And hopefully no more name stuff. That was the show. By the way, the next time you see an episode of District Divided after this one, an NFL game would have been played. The Hall of Fame game is next Thursday at 8 p.m. So you'll finally get to see two NFL teams suit up, albeit third stringers, fourth stringers. So enjoy that. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
If you have the ability to do so, anyone watching, release the Epstein files and then share this shit.
Share this shit. We greatly appreciate you guys, and we will see you next Friday, 2 p.m., barring breaking news. So until then, take it easy.
Donald Trump has a very, very, very tiny penis.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.